It's that time of year again. It's JLPT time. We have T-minus 6 days until test day. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not ready. Today I'm going to share with you the study materials that I've been using, as well as some general study tips and strategies that you can use. You know, everybody learns a different way, and it's important that you understand how you learn best. What works for me may not necessarily work for you, so I'm going to try to give you some ideas for things you can do to help you study. I have actually been studying quite a bit. However, I feel like there's a really big jump between the knowledge you have to pass in 4 and the knowledge you have to pass in 3. Kanji and vocab I'm doing okay on. The trouble is grammar. I'm having such a hard time memorizing the grammar points that you need to know for N3. So, it's a week before the test, and I am fortunate enough to have some downtime at the beginning of this week, as well as at work, because my kids are taking exams this week. So I am making the most of it and using basically every free moment to study. So what I'm doing to study for N3 is I'm kind of tackling it from every angle. So the JLPT has 3 sections for the N3: kanji and vocabulary knowledge, grammar, and listening. What I'm doing to study the kanji and vocabulary, obviously you guys know I love WaniKani. I swear by WaniKani. I'm just one of those WaniKani people. It works for me. I've had a lot of success with it. However, recently I've put WaniKani on vacation mode because I'm trying to focus solely on the kanji I need to know. One thing that I've been doing is I'm using an app called Kanji Quizzer. It's a free app that you can use. Not sure if it's available on Android, but definitely on iTunes. So it looks like that middle app, Kanji Quizzer, okay? And when you go into Kanji Quizzer, you can select your level based on the JLPT level that you're trying to learn. So as you can see, I am on N3. I've not finished the 4th module, but you can see the difference between the amount of kanji you have to know for N4 and the amount of kanji you have to know for N3. It's a pretty big difference. I am using that to specifically focus on just N3 kanji. Also, I use this fabulous book. I have it in a pretty book cover, but this is a N3 level vocabulary memorization book. So the goal is to learn 2,000 vocabulary specific to the N3. The problem with JLPT is you don't know exactly what's going to be on the test. So you could spend a lot of time studying words that you don't even need for the test, but you can't look at it that way. You have to kind of tell yourself, like, I need to know these regardless of whether they're going to be on the test or not, because after the N3, guess what? You still have the N2 and the N1. So you may as well learn as much as you can, right? They come categorized by topic. So you can learn expressions for time, expressions for shopping, expressions for going to the doctor. They're all categorized. And you basically learn a number of words for each chapter. And then to test yourself, you use this really cool little red screen. You place it over the page, and you can no longer see the hiragana for the word, so you have to test yourself to see if you can remember it. I find this to be really helpful. I am a flashcards and memorizing kind of gal, but I know that doesn't work for everyone. So if you are one of those people that are fortunate enough to remember things by just memorizing, these books are super helpful, and they have them for every level of the JLPT. Okay, that's kanji and vocab. Grammar. Okay, so here's the real fun part. Grammar is probably my worst area. I've been doing a lot of reading practice to prep for the JLPT. One book that I really, really, really love is this series, the Try series. I really enjoy the way that they're laid out, the way that they explain things. This is one of the few JLPT books that you can buy here in Japan that has all the explanations in English, and not just like a brief explanation, like it actually explains what the grammar point means, and it gives you practice, like opportunity to practice using it. So I just really like the setup of this book. So the way it works is it starts off, each chapter starts with a reading passage. So you read, the grammar points are in bold, then it explains each grammar point and gives you some practice questions to do. After you've learned a set number of grammar points from that passage, there will be like a section where you can check the answers, to check to make sure that you understand it. And then it will repeat the same reading passage, but with a slightly more difficult grammar point or grammar points. So you read, and then again, you learn the new grammar points that were introduced, practice them, check to make sure you know them, and so on and so forth. At the end of each section, there is review questions, so kind of like a little mini quiz to make sure that you are good to go before you move on to the next chapter. So, highly recommend this book, especially if you have trouble understanding grammar, or if you're just not great at reading. I've improved a lot with this. Another book that I really love is the Nihongo Somatome series. These are great. I really love these. I do have one for vocabulary. I haven't been using that one as much because I've been using this grammar one a lot more. If you know you have a weakness in a certain area, don't waste too much time on the areas that you're good in. Like kanji is pretty easy for me because I love kanji and I'm really interested, so it sticks with me. Grammar, not so much. So anyway, Nihongo Somatome series, these are really great. I have, these were actually given to me by my neighbor. Thank you, Mark. They're really, really great. I also have the N3 practice tests by the same series, so I have a chance to practice, see how close I am to being able to pass. I'm saving this for like Friday. The test is on Sunday, for those of you who don't know. This year it's on December 5th, so Friday night I'm probably going to do these practice tests to see how far off I am. I did do a practice test in October, end of October. Passed listening, passed kanji and vocab, failed grammar. So that's why I'm spending so much time and effort working on grammar. This series is awesome. They also have a book, this 500 series. I really like these because they have 3 sections, and the way it's supposed to work is you're supposed to do 5 pages each day. Each page has 3 questions. One is kanji, one is vocabulary, and one is grammar. And they're just practice questions. So, for example, they're all multiple choice, and you just answer the 3 questions, 5 pages a day, and then if you do 5 pages a day, at the end of a week, you will have completed 1 unit. And then there's a test to check the things that were covered in that unit. So I do not use it as strictly as I should be, but it's a good review, especially after covering things in the vocabulary and grammar books, textbooks. these are really cheap. They're like 1,200 yen, about $12. So if you want something that is small and you can carry it with you and just pop it out and study whenever you are on the bus or waiting in a waiting room or whatever, waiting for your food in a restaurant, whatever, these are great. Okay, I guess I should not leave out the go to Mina no Nihongo. I use Mina no Nihongo in my Japanese lessons. So right now I'm taking 2 different lessons. I have a lesson with a private tutor once a week. We use Mina no Nihongo. And then I have another lesson that is a class, and we use a different textbook for that class. I covered that in the last video that I made about trying to move from N4 to N3. There are really quite a few grammar points in Mina no Nihongo that will be included on the N3. Also, it's just a really good review. I've found that going back and reviewing some of what I've already learned in Mina no Nihongo has been really helpful for improving my reading. So a lot of times I'll come across something in a reading passage and I'm like, I know I should know what this means. That's from Mina no Nihongo. So yeah, if you do use Mina no Nihongo, keep that handy while you're studying, because a lot of the grammar points are going to be in there. And I really love this grammar explanation book for Mina no Nihongo, because the textbook by itself doesn't really explain anything. It's great if you have a teacher to kind of lead you through it and explain it to you, but this on its own can be really difficult to use as a self-study tool. That's where this comes in. This is the grammar translation book. It breaks down the grammar points from each chapter and explains them in English. Sometimes the explanations are a little wordy and a little overly complicated, which is why I prefer like the Try book. The explanations are very easy to understand, but it's better than nothing. It's also very thorough, so make sure you have that if you have Mina no Nihongo. The last part is listening. There are some listening tools that you can use. For instance, the Try book. This book, it comes with a CD. So if you want to listen to the passages while you're reading them, you can definitely do that. I'm also a big fan of developing listening in more organic ways. So for example, watching Japanese TV shows, maybe not necessarily anime. Anime is fine, yes, but there's a lot of weird language and vocabulary and even sometimes grammar that isn't used in daily conversation in Japan. So you might be picking up some bad habits. And of course, if you live here in Japan, one of the best ways to practice your listening skills is to just go out and talk to people and do your day-to-day life. It's really easy to want to just pop in your earbuds or your AirPods and just tune everything out and listen to music, but make an effort to actually listen to what's going on around you. Listen to the announcements on the bus and the train. Listen to what the people in the grocery store are saying. Don't just go on autopilot all the time, because you're missing a lot of opportunities to work on your language input and not just your language output. I mean, don't get me wrong, speaking is important. It's kind of vital to be able to communicate with people. But yeah, definitely make an effort to listen to what's going on around you if you live here in Japan. That's kind of my routine right now. It's now Monday, so I'm going to be doing this until Sunday. Some other really valuable things that you can use. Flashcards. I am a flashcard junkie. I have a photographic memory. Yay, I'm one of the lucky ones. So I can look at flashcards and memorize things. I won't say easily, because, I'm getting older, but that still tends to be a really good strategy for me. A lot of people prefer to use the Anki app, which is a digital flashcard app. You can use it on your phone or a tablet. I don't like Anki because I don't want to make all those cards myself. I'd rather just handwrite them, because again, the action of handwriting my flashcards helps me remember the words. So you do you, whatever works for you. One of the most important things about studying is figuring out what kind of learner you are and what works for you. Because, for instance, what works for me does not work for Josh. So you guys remember Josh? He was my British friend. He's my coworker from the British American English video. So Josh and I are completely different learners. I'm great at memorizing things. He can't do that. A lot of people are like that. So if you're one of those people, don't feel like, oh, like I'm bad at studying. You know, you're not bad at studying. You're just not good at that method of studying. A lot of people need to use the language to be able to remember it. That's Josh. Like, when he learns a new grammar point, he tries to use it as much as he can. That's how he makes it stick. Different people, our brains work different ways, so you have to find what works for you. I hope this video has helped give you some ideas, helped inspire you to study hard, giving you some ideas for tools that you can use. It's a little late now to try and order new books and study materials. Of course, the internet is everybody's greatest resource. Some websites that I use pretty consistently are JLPT Sensei. I really love that site. I also use Japanese Test for You and Maggie Sensei, of course, and Tai Kim's website. So there are a lot of really good resources online for learning grammar and vocabulary. There's also several sites that kind of coincide with what's in Mina no Nihongo, so if you're using that as your primary study tool, don't forget to go online and see what resources are available for you. You know, some people need to write down everything to be able to remember it. I'm definitely one of those people. In the last video, I showed you my notebook with all of my highlighter colors and washi tape and stickers and things to make it visually interesting. That's what works for me. If you're not a visual learner, maybe you're more of an auditory person, don't be afraid to speak what you're learning. Even if you're listening to yourself and not another person, that's still better if you're more of an auditory learner. So, fun fact about me, I have ADHD. It makes it incredibly hard to concentrate on one thing at a time. Something that I often have to do is leave my house because being at home is super distracting for me while I'm trying to study. I'm always thinking about all the other things I should be doing, like doing laundry or washing the dishes or tidying up or vacuuming, or, you know, I have all these responsibilities at home, and so that's really distracting for me, and I almost can't study at home unless all of those things are already done, so it's not super efficient. So sometimes I just have to leave the house and go study somewhere else. I really like studying at Starbucks. It's just the right amount of background noise, and there's light music and lots of caffeine and usually the Starbucks closest to me is not super duper busy, so there's always a table where I can study. So that's kind of my go-to, but find what works for you. Some people really enjoy studying outside. I am not one of those people because I'm just not an outdoorsy kind of person, and I also get really distracted by wind and weather and animals and nature and all of that. So find a place that makes you comfortable to study. Maybe it's in your house, maybe it's in your room, maybe it's in a cafe. Whatever works, find what works for you. So let me share some tips with you that are good for cram studying, because let's face it, that's where we all are right now, 6 days before the test. Number one, don't skip out on your sleep. it's not going to do your brain any good, and it's going to actually make it harder for you to remember things if you are not well rested. So don't stay up too late studying. Second, turn off your social media. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but it's really hard to focus on studying when you've got notifications from Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and Snapchat and WhatsApp and everything else popping up on your phone every 5 seconds. Personally, I put my phone somewhere where I can't even see it. So stay away from your social media while you're studying. Your study time needs to be dedicated to just that. If you're using your phone as a tool, like for example, you're using a G-Show app, or you're using the internet on your phone to look up explanations for something, that's fine, but you need to turn off your notifications for your social media. Don't let that be a distraction. I also recommend setting a study timer. So if you only have an hour to study, set a timer, and for that 1 hour, only study, okay? Don't get up to go get a drink, don't answer the phone, don't go have a conversation with whoever you live with. Set your timer, and in that 1 hour or 30 minutes or however much time you have to study, stay dedicated, stay focused. Experts say that the best ratio of studying to rest time is 50 minutes of studying followed by a 10-minute break. That gives your brain time to rest a little bit, and you're going to retain more information that way. If you study for too long in one sitting, like 2 or 3 or 4 hours at a time, it's not good. You do need to give yourself a little bit of a break in between there, but don't go get on your social media in that 10-minute break. A word of warning about drinking caffeine. So most of us who are hardcore studiers, we know that when you get tired, it's really easy to just drink some caffeine. I'm a coffee person myself. Maybe you're a tea drinker, that's fine. However, if you drink a lot of caffeine, you are going to have a crash, especially if you're drinking sugary drinks. So be really careful. If you want to have some caffeine right before you go into the test, I think that's okay. Just be prepared that during the breaks of the test, you may want to have some more caffeine, because what's going to happen is the caffeine that you drink a couple of hours later, it's going to cause you to kind of crash and get sleepy. So if you choose to drink caffeine the day of the test or while you're studying even, just be prepared. You may have to keep drinking it in order to make it through that sleepiness. So to everybody who's taking the JLPT this weekend, I wish you the best of luck. Study hard, ganbatte, and all. I don't know if I'm gonna pass this time or not. To be honest, I've just been super duper busy in my personal life and at work, and I've also had some grad school things going on, and just really busy the last few months. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, I'm doing my best, and look, if I don't pass it this time, I'll just take it again in July, right? So to all of you who are stressed out and anxious and worried about this test, look, just breathe and do your best. That's all you can do. If you fail it this time, then if at first you don't succeed, try again, right? All right, everybody, good luck. Let me know how you do on the test.